Your partner is going to trigger you, and that's perfectly okay. The context of an intimate relationship is such that when you are deeply immersed in that experience, it, in a very natural and organic way, brings out repressed things within you, repressed emotions, wounds, patterns, ways of relating, manipulation strategies. And it's up to you to utilize this opportunity so that you can heal yourself. And it's the same thing with your partner. There is no better place than an intimate relationship to really notice some very deeply unconscious things within you. When we are in that kind of connection, of course, it registers within us at a very deep level. And this activates a lot of emotional circuitry and the attachment system. And the emotional circuitry is stored within our bodies. It actually connects to various places in our bodies. It's stored in our body. And when that emotional circuitry is activated, anything that was stored there gets activated with it, whether it's gratitude, love, appreciation, or anger, jealousy, sadness, things like this. So when your partner triggers you, what is your direct experience like? You typically just go unconscious, right? When you're in a triggered state, this is a very unconscious response. It's basically the best opportunity to shine a flashlight on what is going on within you. And you need to actually be very honest with yourself about your reactivity right in the midst of reactivity. That's like the best way to handle it. Right when you're getting reactive, to just be honest with yourself and point it out to yourself in a clear way, I am being reactive. This already begins to snap you up or snap you out of your own reactivity. When you're in the context of an intimate relationship, when you're in the container of it, just being in the other person's energy, in their presence, right? Their energy kind of moves into you. The connection moves into you. There's an energetic transfer going on in the relationship. And it's that is going into you and triggering certain things in you so that you can open up. Because all these parts of you are unconscious and they're closed, fixed, rigid, dogmatic, things like this. And the relationship is bringing out what it needs to bring out so that you can heal. And without this perspective that I'm giving you, it's impossible to actually have very deep, meaningful, lasting, and healthy connections, right? There's a whole bunch of experiences and levels of consciousness that exist within relationship. And most people don't have a large, a massive reservoir of experiences and like levels of consciousness. They don't really know what that's like. They kind of just have their experience and they can't really reference any other experiences, right? Until they really raise their consciousness and things get pretty interesting there. So relationships activate emotional circuitry within us. Like I said, the emotions are stored in our body. You can feel them in certain places. Anything that's stored in that place is going to come out with it. And you can really sustain attention on your body and you can really slowly begin to understand what I'm saying. I've been meditating for like 7 years, so for me this stuff is very obvious, but for someone who's never done any meditation, the idea that emotions are stored in the body and have physiological impacts on us can seem a little bit strange. But you can notice that certain parts of your body are tense. You can't really pass your awareness through them very easily. They're rigid, they seem numb, dull, they're lacking in energy and vitality. So when your partner triggers you, when you're in the midst of that experience, you'll notice that your body tenses up. Your body starts doing something, right? Aside from the emotional experience, oh my God, fly hit me in the face. Aside from the emotional experience, there's a physiological component that relates to the emotional experience. And these are deeply connected, right? Tension can be associated with getting very angry, and then letting go of tension can be associated with being more present, being more clear, things like this. And it's not that you throw anger away entirely, it's just there's a difference between conscious anger and unconscious anger. Unconscious anger turns into just blame, victim mentality, attacking basically, and even aggression and violence. And conscious anger is more about setting boundaries, being a little bit firm when you have to. Anger is very useful, you just want to make it conscious. So relationships also activate the attachment system within us. This is a system that really was formed in childhood because we were using our parents in order to survive. We were completely dependent on them, so we formed the attachment relationship to them. And a bunch of circuitry in us wired in a specific way, right? We would experience, let's say, emotions, and we wouldn't have anyone to help us regulate, and then they would get trapped inside of us. Because young children cannot regulate their emotions whatsoever. They have no capacity to do that. And then the lack of capacity to do that continues into adulthood unless someone decides to consciously change. So relationships activate all these subtle systems within us, and this basically makes us get reactive, blame, defensiveness, projection, shame, guilt, anger, things like this. And you want to just use these triggers to heal, to become aware of yourself. And you want your partner to be doing the same, right? This kind of just assumes that your partner is a healthy partner and they're interested in becoming more conscious and doing this kind of stuff. This assumes that the relationship isn't like abusive or anything like this. I'm talking about relatively normal, stable, and healthy connections. So take responsibility for the dysfunction within yourself and heal yourself, and just state it very honestly to yourself. There's no, you're just kind of lying to yourself at this point. If you're like, there's no dysfunction within me. Right? And I want to make this distinction between actually being aware of yourself and thinking that you're aware of yourself. Because right now you're not aware of yourself. If I ask you to start feeling the sensations in your body and just watching your thoughts instead of just believing them and reacting to them and being identified with them, and really noticing the sensations of your butt as it's on your chair, or your feet on the floor, or whatever, your back on your bed, whatever it is. Now you start to be aware of yourself. Now you start to actually apply conscious attention to yourself. So when I'm saying being aware of yourself, I'm saying that you are sustaining conscious attention on yourself, which is different from thinking. Your thoughts can say, I'm aware, but what's really going on in that experience is that your mind concocts a story that doesn't have very much to do with the present circumstance. It just says, I'm aware, and then it believes in that story, and that's it. When in actuality, it was very mechanical. You were like a machine. It was robotic. It was very unconscious. So pay attention to where these wounds are inside of you. Pay attention to your body's response. How does your body feel in relation to these wounds? Is it tense? Is it rigid? Is it numb, dull? Do you avoid these sensations? You want to pay attention to things like this. These are all the things that are blocking you from healing. It's your lack of presence within your own being that is blocking you from actually healing these things. Your awareness alone is curative. There's a whole magnitude. There's so many techniques that work. I got a comment talking about, can we just do some form of therapy? And then, that's like a shortcut for most people. I think a mosquito is like biting my head. That's awesome. And yeah, like certain therapeutic methods work. You want to watch out who you work one-to-one with. You want to make sure that the person you're working with is at a high enough level of consciousness to understand your problem and actually solve it. And you want them to be present with you and grounded, because not every therapist is like that. I have so many clients who talk about bad experiences in therapy because, fortunately, whatever, there's levels of consciousness. Our culture doesn't really care about that. And it actually has a lot of implications. And not everyone is actually at a developmental stage where they can actually work one-to-one with people in a competent way. It's a very hard job. So there's no real way around just sustaining conscious attention on yourself. You can do therapeutic methods and breathing exercises and whatever, this and that, but this kind of, see, from my point of view, when someone says something like that, it's like, okay, Lucas, I understand, we got to make the unconscious conscious in order to heal. But how can I make the unconscious conscious without actually watching it and being aware of it? It's kind of like what it's asking. Right? I'm saying like you have to be aware of it and simply like let go of your control over it. Feel into it mindfully. Notice the sensations and the flow of energy. Like really give your body that attention. Give that part of you the attention that it needs, right? And it's actually your stepping back and letting go that allows this process to unfold and release itself. It's your manipulation and your control over it and your repression of it, all this more egoic stuff that keeps it trapped inside of you. You kind of just want to allow the emotions to move through you by opening up your attention, applying awareness to them, feeling the sensations. It's like you're kind of stepping back and you're trusting in nature. Because because this is nature's agenda trying to unfold within you that you are repressing due to fear. So there's no way around this one. There's no way around simply just being in your body, watching your body, feeling your sensations. Right? There's no way to become conscious without becoming conscious. Of course, right? It's pretty simple. There's no way to make your unconscious conscious without bringing it into awareness in a clear way where you are actually sustaining attention on yourself. Right? There's no other way. Right? Every single method is kind of like predicated upon this. The whole point is to bring it out so you can be aware of it. If you bring it out and you avoid it, it's going to be hell. It's going to be a lot of suffering. So you need this point of view for your relationships, so you can understand your own shadow, your own unconscious repressed material, and that of your partner, because it's going to affect you. The shadow material kind of transfers from person to person. Children bathe in their parents' unconsciousness, right? Because most parents are unconscious, and that it literally transfers onto a child. Kind of like pouring water from one cup into another cup, right? A person's water can be disgusting and like swamp water, or it can be fresh, purified water. Right? And the more unconscious shadow material is like that disgusting swamp water, and the more conscious beings' energy and emotions and patterns are more like purified water, and they're pouring it into the child. See, it's not only like a physical reproduction that happens, it's an energetic and psychological reproduction that happens as well. So I hope you found value within this video, and try and take these ideas and really apply them to your specific situation. That's why I do one-to-one coaching with people, so I can take these ideas, which in videos I'm keeping at a pretty general level, right? And the one-to-one coaching is so that I can apply it specifically to one person in a super practical way that's very grounded. So that's it. You can book a one-to-one call with me. You can apply for a one-to-one call. I should say, I can't take everyone. I get a lot of people, and I reserve my spots for the people who are the most sincere about raising their consciousness and who I can kind of intuitively sense align the best with this opportunity. That's it for this video. Take it easy.